Was I supposed to do that?
No, you're good. We are live, and I want to say welcome everyone. Today we have another Global Grief Conference 2023, our second annual conference, and today we have another great presenter, Val Walker. She is a doula. She has an interesting story, and she will be presenting some awesome stuff at the conference. So for everyone tuning in, thank you for tuning in. If you guys get a chance, tell us where you're from and everything. And if you have any questions, we welcome all questions and comments. Uh, Val, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I am doing well. I am doing well as
Good.
always. Yeah, thank you for coming in for this introduction. You know, I'm excited to have you as a presenter this year.
I am excited too. This is my first year. I'm stepping into a new area, but I'm looking forward to it, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. I really do.
Oh man, you know, the appreciation is mine. I appreciate having you aboard. You know, the more we can do, the more we can, more people we can reach, and then the more people we can offer healing to. You know, these resources
That's
and everything.
yeah, that's true. We're all here to serve one another. We're
Yes,
all here
yes,
to serve one another.
this is very, very true. Now, where you from?
Mhm. I'm originally from Newport News, Virginia, but I
Oh,
have been in Columbia. I have been in the Maryland, what we call the DMV, District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia area since 1983.
all
So
right.
I've been here a while.
Okay. See, we
Yeah.
talked about that too because we both from the same town. You know, Newport News in the house. Man, it's kind
Exactly. Hey.
funny. And she's in Maryland, which at one point in time I was in Washington D.C. doing Job Corps. So
Right.
we had a lot to talk about. We still got a lot to talk about.
Yes,
It's
we
gonna
do.
be freaking awesome, man. It's gonna be awesome. So you're a doula.
Right.
Explain people to what a doula is.
Well, a doula, I'm an end of life doula. The original word for doula came from really an ancient word out of Greek that had to do with servant women helping other women through labor. And it has been recoined for the end of life doula. And that's what I do now. So basically, when you're talking about a doula, we distinctively talk about a birth doula, and then we talk about an end of life doula. My position is the end of life doula. Primarily, when a person thinks about an end of life doula, they are thinking about someone who is sitting at the bedside of someone who is transitioning, which that's exactly what we do. But there are other specialties that we can also provide service in. And so I'll just start with that right now.
No, I like that
I just give you a
because
little teaser, just a little
okay,
teaser.
I love it, man. I love it. I was talking to my cousin not too long ago, and I was telling her
Uh,
there was different types of doulas and everything. You know,
right.
I'm not familiar with all the different types. So if you could give me just a basic number, how many doulas are out there?
So I don't know how many doulas, but you have pet doulas. So you have
Mm,
doulas that sit with individuals who their pets are transitioning. That can still fall under an end of life doula, but if she wants to include that as a part of her specialty, she can.
okay.
You have doulas who are, I don't know if this is a new concept or not, but you, like I talked about the birthing doula, you all have also have abortion doulas who are
Mm,
sitting with individuals, moms who have made the decision to have an abortion and they need support. They need emotional support. So the overall position of an end of life doula is providing care for the holistic person, to provide a holistic approach. So in that, we're talking about the physical, that includes the spiritual, that includes the psychological, that includes the emotional. And so that holistic frame is what we find that's a part of the doula model. And then within that, you can branch out and do various things. For example, my specialty is partnering with organizations on education. And then my specialty under that is advanced care planning.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So it really depends on, what you want to do. A lot of doulas start out with education and volunteering and hospice so that they can get that bedside experience with sitting with someone who's transitioning.
Hmm.
Um, with me, I did that at a local hospice facility here. And so my story is I got into this area because I lost my mom in 2011, and our hospice experience wasn't that great. And unfortunately, Tony, with talking with other individuals, our story wasn't the worst. I mean, I really heard some bad experiences out there about hospice. And I remember sitting in her room that day saying, yeah, I have to change something about this. This didn't flow well. If I can stop one family member from experiencing what we experienced, then that's my call and that's what I'll do. And I stepped into that, and that's how I got into the role. I started going on my journey, following the path, and that's how I start finding about getting my education to be an end of life doula, becoming certified, and then starting my own business. So I often tell people when I'm interviewed that my mother's death, when you look at the good of a death, I often say my mother's death birthed Doula by Destiny into existence.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I like that. I
yeah.
definitely
So
like
that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So this year, what day are you going to be presenting on?
Well, I'm tagged to present. I'm the last presenter, so the pressure is on. So my date is April the 30th, um, which is I believe that's Sunday, and I present 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time, which is 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for 1 hour. And my topic is courageous conversations about death and dying. Um, I will possibly be presenting with another guest that I will have. And she basically talks about the ring theory, which incorporates rings around people that we're supporting when it
Mhm.
comes to grief. So it's going to be a little bit of mixture of advanced care planning, normalizing the conversation around death and dying, and how to look at the ring theory to support those who are grieving.
Nice, nice. You
Yeah.
also you host a podcast, correct?
I do not host a podcast, but what I do is I have one of my goals for Doula by Destiny this year was to have educational events.
Mm.
So as you know, I had the You're a Big Boy Now event in February, a couple of weeks ago, where you were speaking, and we were basically focusing on the silent voice or the silent grief of men who have to grieve behind a mask because society won't let them grieve outwardly.
Mm.
Because when men often grieve outwardly and show their vulnerability, they are judged as being um a weak man, which is very unfortunate. All of us should be able to grieve the way that we grieve without judgment. And that's another essential element of being a end of life doula. Two essential elements is going in and supporting a person and leaving yourself on the outside, coming into that space clean without any um, judgments or agenda, because this individual is dying and
Mm.
you are sitting with them in their last hour, their last minute. That's a privilege that they are inviting you into that space. So do not come into that space with your stuff. Come in to support them. And even if that support is being silent for an hour, doulas can sit for hours and not say a thing, but
Mm.
it's so much spirituality that's going on in that silent time that is valuable. Is very valuable. And another element besides being non-judgmental is we don't provide any type of medication. We act in the role of non-medical, so we're not going in to usurp the clinical team at all. We stay neutral. We should stay neutral
Mhm.
and just sit there and provide that service for that family member and for the person who is transitioning.
Very nice. I like that. We often is being mindful. I often tell people to do that. Especially people starting off in this field. The biggest thing you want to do is you want to be mindful of the person. Like you said, you want to leave all of your junk outside.
Right.
all of your junk outside, and that was something, honestly, I wish I had somebody that taught me what was going on. I kind of figured it out, and I
Mm-hmm.
told myself, like, if you invite me into this space, I'm going to be the best visitor I possibly can be, you
Right.
know, and so that had been my model, and I love the way that you had just said it right there. Your job is just to sit there in the silence with them and
Mm-hmm.
allow
Yeah.
these things to naturally happen.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the fact that you are talking about death and dying, normalizing that conversation, because it's something that it should be talked about, because you
Mhm.
just never know. You never know. People think I'm strange when I talk about it. I'm like, hey, one day I'm not going to be here.
Right.
Oftentimes people look at me and go, why you keep saying that? Are you dying? Why you keep wishing death upon you? I was like, because it's normal for me to talk about it.
Right.
But that also comes to the point of, I had to surround myself with people that it wasn't so strange around.
Mm.
you know, because I was like, now I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody gets excited to talk about those things the way I do, or the way most people I know that are in this field do. Like, it's an excitement. It
Right.
is, it's educational. Like, I tell people, let our experience help you heal, because that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Most people never get these. Most people have these opportunities, but it's just not for them.
Well, the death has been presented negatively,
Right.
as the Grim Reaper is sneaky, it sneaks in, it's darkness around it. And I think it's the way that you present it and how you um well, let me just give you two examples if I'm okay with doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely.
So my son, and I've shared this out too publicly. So when we lost my mom, his grandmother, I think he was around 18, 19. And I started talking to him about, okay, advanced care planning. This is what I want you to do, when I leave here. You're my only child. So you have to handle what's going on. You're going to have to be able to handle Doula by Destiny. You're going to have to be able to handle the house. You're going to have to be able to handle the car. And he would sneak out the room, Tony. And I'm like, okay, I thought I was talking to somebody. Now I didn't hit him across the head every time he came in, but from time to time I would just say. And one day he said, "Ma, you're not gonna give this up." I said, "No, this is my call. Keep on hanging in here with me." So December before COVID, I never forget. My son came to me and he said, "Ma," he said, "this is what I want." Because I never came to him saying, "Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want," because we don't normally think that our children will go before us. And
Right.
so I was telling him, this is what I want. This is what I want you to do. And he came in December and he said, "Ma," he said, "now this is 8 years later." He's now 28, from 19 to 28. And he comes in and he says, "Ma, this is what I want you to do for me if I transition or if I leave." Now, Tony, my belief for myself is to bury myself, to
Mm.
to have someone bury me, funeral director bury me. My son wants to be cremated. Had I not taken the courage, that's why I call it courageous conversations, to
Mm.
talk to him, I would have buried him if he had gone before me versus cremating him.
Right.
And so the very people that we sleep beside every night, the people that we love, we can unintentionally dishonor them because we don't have the conversation. And
Right.
I would have dishonored my only child by burying him versus cremating him because I didn't normalize the conversation.
Mm. I like that.
That's
I,
deep. That's
yeah.
deep to sit in, right? I
That's
just had. I'm gonna let you. We'll hold that container for a second. I'm gonna give you my second example. Second example. I have a friend just got this information on a newsletter with a group of people that I'm in. Had been going to church with them for years. Her mother had a slip and fall. Her mother is now on a ventilator. and her mother is now in a coma.
Mm.
So now what does this individual do to honor her mom if she hasn't had the conversation with how her mom wants to, how long you want to stay on the ventilator? If we take the ventilator off and you die within hours,
Mm.
what's the next step for you? Do you want us to do a ritual? Do you want to do a burial? Do you want to do a green burial? Do you want to do a home funeral? What color dress do you want to wear? So all of these are a part of conversations that we can talk about that doesn't necessarily focus on the dying. It focuses on honoring the person when we get to a point to where we know we're going to transition. But let's get the conversation out of the way, and then we can go on vacation and
Mm.
all the information will be taken care of. And so it's about normalizing the conversation.
Mm. I like that. I do like that. Why do you think some people shy away from the conversation? Because I've had this conversation with my younger sister, and for the most part, I just told her, like when I go, when you do find me,
Mm-hmm.
because I have this thing, like my son passed before me, and
Mm-hmm.
so I always told myself once I get to a place where it's going to be my forever place, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to plant a tree on top of his ashes,
Mm-hmm.
which is my way of saying, you know what, I never got the chance to get you watch
Mm-hmm.
you grow up, and this way you get to outlive me,
Right. I
you
love
know,
that.
and naturally, we belong back to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's the cycle of life. And people may think I'm crazy when I say this, but I say, let the animals have me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Let the animals have me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about burying me. Don't worry about cremating me. Let
Right.
nature take its natural course.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm gone, so it don't really matter to me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
um,
And I would love, Tony, to help you if you haven't thought about a ritual around that burial of your son's ashes. I would really like, that's another thing that doula does. We have some
mhm,
creative thoughts around having rituals, to support, our friends, family, and clients. For me, I'm very much connected to the sea. So I'm trying to see how I can be pushed out at Myrtle Beach. That's my favorite place to go, South Carolina.
okay.
So there's some kind of way I want to be pushed out and just let the waves take me on out there.
Let nature take its course, right? Like for me, it's like something natural, you
Yeah.
know, not wasting resources. Don't dig up no holes.
Mhm.
Because zombies be coming. You definitely don't want me coming back chomping on people.
So to answer your question, why do I think people don't like to talk about it? Well, first of all, I think death is unknown. We don't know where that next destination is. We don't necessarily get to hear from loved ones saying, "This is where I am," and describe it. Um, so I think it's the unknown. Anything, as humans, we want to be in control of every itsy bitsy thing that's going on in our lives. And
Right.
so when we can't control the unknown, it's scary to us. Um, and I think for my community, African Americans are one of the is the most religious sector or segment of folks that's out there. And so, and I've talked to this with my brother, and I have to walk on eggshells when I talk about this. He's a pastor, but we have a strong belief in faith and hope, which we should have,
Hmm.
in God, which we absolutely should have. But if your belief is in Jesus Christ, we know that Jesus died at an early age.
Hmm.
We celebrate his resurrection every year, so we know that death occurred. No one is around here. I think I went to a seminar the other day. The oldest human being is in France, and she is 123 years old.
Whoa.
There's no one walking around here that's 150 and 160. So we know that death occurs. So
Hmm.
believing and having faith, particularly if we have a terminal illness, is what we should do. But God gives us also the wisdom to plan for the transition.
Hmm.
And so once you get that thought in your head that we celebrate his death. If he went through the death and he left a model for us to follow, then why not prepare ourselves to have the best death that we can have? Because all of us will exit this physical space at one time. Let's talk about it, and let's keep ourselves empowered about the way that we do die. We can't talk about how we're going to die or when we're going to die, but we can definitely say, when I die, do this for me. This is how I want to be honored. And again, it's about just sitting down, facing your mortality, having a conversation. When you realize you continue to talk about this, that conversation and that knot in your throat goes away eventually. But guess what? Everybody around you now knows how to honor you when you transition.
Man, I love that. I definitely love that. And
Yeah.
for everyone that's tuning in, yeah, we're talking about normalizing death and dying. You know, something with which Val will be presenting on at the conference coming up next month, April 28th to May 30th. She will be presenting on that Sunday, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Correct?
Yes.
So, and if you guys want to know more about Val, she will be on the podcast next week. So come and check out her full story, right? And so we're going to be doing that live as well. And so we could talk forever about this and everything, but I don't want to give too much away. You know, it's just an honor to have her on here. And again, you know, we have another great presenter, Val Walker. Val, where can they find you at?
I am located. If you put in Doula, Doula, by By Destiny, Destiny, you're going to find me on LinkedIn. You're going to find me on IG, Instagram. You're going to find my website. My website is www.doulabydestiny.com. I'm out there. You can Google my name, Valoria Walker. Doula by Destiny is going to come up. So those are some ways to find me.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. And so, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this segment. Another great presenter. You guys stay tuned. We got some more presenters coming up the rest of the week into next week. And they're just going to be sharing a little bits about what they're going to be presenting on at the conference. So you guys come and check those out. And if you guys want to see the full stories, most of these people I do have on the podcast, and they have some amazing stories. You guys can also check out the conference or on the YouTube channel, which is Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Check out the other great presenters that we have up there, just in case you guys haven't had the chance to check them out. And until next time, thank you, Val, for being up here. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We got Harvey Laguerre coming in, and he is the host of Men Are the Prize. He's also going to be presenting, and he's going to be hosting two of the table talks as well. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, you guys tune in for next week's for Valerie's podcast, and also stay tuned for our next panel discussion that we have coming up. We're going to be talking about child loss. Or either child loss, either men and women grieve. So we have some great discussions coming up. You guys, thank you again. We're out.